The battle between Luffy, the new Emperor of the Sea, and the Five Elders is not just the finale of the Egghead arc, but the moment when the entire familiar balance of power in the world collapses. In this analysis, we will examine the abilities of both sides, from Luffy's incredible Nika power to the true terrifying forms of the Gorosei. We will assess who is actually stronger in a protracted battle, and how the events on the island of the future change the hierarchy of power in One Piece. Monkey D. Luffy entered the conflict on Egghead already possessing the status of one of the strongest beings in the world. His current bounty of 3 billion berries reflects not only his victory over Kaido, but also the world government's recognition of the existential threat posed by his devil fruit. The true nature of his abilities, hidden for 800 years under the name Gomu Gomu no Mi, has been identified as the mythical Zoan Hito Hito no Mi model Nika. Luffy's fifth gear is described as the most ridiculous ability in the world. It provides a user with an unprecedented level of physical freedom, allowing them to manipulate reality and their surroundings according to their imagination. Unlike traditional paramecia awakenings, which only affect inorganic objects, Luffy is able to impart rubber properties even to his opponents, as demonstrated in his clashes with Saint Saturn and Admiral Kizaru. An analysis of Luffy's combat actions in Gear 5 reveals several key aspects of his power. Materialization of objects. Luffy has demonstrated the ability to create objects out of thin air by transforming matter or using his hair to create objects such as a baseball bat and helmet. This allows him to adapt to specific enemy attacks, such as deflecting Saturn's poisonous shells. Transferring rubber properties to living beings. The Dawn Symbol technique allows Luffy to literally flatten his opponents like sheets of paper, temporarily incapacitating them by deforming their bodies. Destructive potential. His attacks, such as Dawn Gatling or Bajrang Gun, have the power to crush the most protected creatures in the world, including those with advanced armament haki. Despite the divine nature of Gear 5, Luffy's form retains critical flaws that the Elders are capable of exploiting in the long term. The main problem remains the enormous energy consumption and strict time limit. After leaving the form, Luffy instantly loses his combat ability, turning into an exhausted old man, which makes him extremely vulnerable to counterattacks. Prior to the incident at Egghead, the Five Elders were viewed primarily as political figures. However, their personal intervention in the conflict revealed them to be god warriors, each possessing monstrous power, presumably linked to the ancient demons of Japanese and Chinese folklore, the yokai. Each of the elders possesses an awakened form, which is accompanied by a characteristic black cloud around the neck, usually indicating the awakening of a zone-type devil fruit. However, when they were introduced in Chapter 1110, the names of the fruits were not mentioned, only the names of the creatures, which gave rise to theories about their different, possibly non-fruit nature. The most shocking aspect of the Gorosei's power on Egghead was their apparent invulnerability. None of Luffy's attacks, even when reinforced by Conqueror's haki, caused them any lasting damage. Saint Saturn demonstrated the ability to instantly regenerate lost limbs, with the regeneration process occurring so quickly that Luffy compared it to an endless cycle that cannot be interrupted by normal attacks. There are several theories about the origin of this invulnerability. Eternal youth through Ope Ope no Mi, it is believed that in the past, several users of this fruit performed an immortality operation on each of the elders. Contract with Imu, regeneration may be a gift from Imu, who acts as a power source or contract holder. This is confirmed by the fact that Imu was able to instantly revoke this power from Saturn, leading to his immediate death and decay. Demonic essence. The Gorosei may not be human at all, but rather projections or avatars of demonic forces summoned from the abyss through magic circles. Luffy's direct clashes with the Elders allow us to assess the balance of power in the dynamics of the battle. It is important to note that Luffy rarely fought them one-on-one for long periods of time, often receiving support from the giants Dodi and Brogy, as well as from the Iron Giant Emmet. The case of Topman Barkuri is the most indicative in terms of pure strength.
When Luffy struck Valkyrie's head in his boar form using Gear 5, the result was not damage to the enemy, but injury to Luffy's own arm. Valkyrie possesses strength that surpasses even that of Kaido, who was considered the strongest being. This indicates that the Gorosei not only possess magical regeneration, but also basic physical attributes that are on par with or exceed those of the world's strongest pirates.
Saint Nojiro demonstrated a speed that allowed him to neutralize an entire army of pacifists across the island in a matter of minutes. His ability to freeze opponents with his slashes adds an element of battlefield control that Luffy finds difficult to combat in close quarters. On the other hand, Marcus Mars, in his Itsumare form, dominated the air with powerful fire beams that can pierce Luffy's defenses and cause serious burns even in his rubber form. The main advantage of the Gorosei over Luffy is their ability to act as a unified whole. While Luffy is an individual fighter, the Gorosei can coordinate their actions through telepathy. On Egghead, Luffy was forced to simultaneously dodge Saturn's poisonous attacks, Jupiter's attempts to swallow him, and Valkyrie's devastating roars. Even with godlike power, Luffy acknowledged that they don't die, which added an element of psychological pressure and forced him to look for ways to retreat rather than achieve complete victory. The conflict on Egghead was resolved not by Luffy's fists, but by the haki of the original Joy Boy, sealed in emerald 800 years ago. This incident shed light on the true balance of power between the current Luffy and the highest level of power in history. When Emmet released the sealed haki, it created a wave of such intensity that it reversed the transformations of all the elders present, returning them to human form. It severed the magical teleportation link, sending 4 of the 5 elders back to Marijoa, dealt a mental blow to Ima himself, causing him to writhe in pain on his empty throne. This proves that the Gorosei are extremely sensitive to Joy Boy level haki. Although Luffy possesses advanced Conqueror's haki, her current concentration is not great enough to break through the Elder's regenerative barrier or cancel their demonic abilities. At the end of the incident on Egghead, an event occurred that radically changed the perception of the power of the Gorosei: the death of Saturn and the appointment of Figureland Garling as his successor. Garling, as the leader of the Holy Knights and hero of the Valley of the Gods, possesses a different type of power than the original Elders. Garling's is considered by many analysts to be a more dangerous opponent for Luffy for the following reasons. Combat experience against legends. He fought in the Valley of the Gods and, according to rumors, left a scar on Whitebeard. Fencing skills. As a member of the Figureland family, to which Shanks probably belongs, he may possess haki comparable in level to the strongest Yonko. Combination of skills and immortality. Having attained the status of Gorosei, Garling probably gained the same regeneration abilities as the others, while retaining his warrior skills, making him the perfect killing machine. The answer to the question of who is stronger requires separating the concepts of individual combat power and ability to win a war. In terms of martial arts, creativity, and the ability to suppress an opponent, Luffy is stronger than any of the elders in a fair fight. In Gear 5, Luffy turned Saturn into pizza, repelled attacks from Jupiter and Valkyrie, and even fought the Elder and the Admiral at the same time, not yielding to them in strength. His 5th gear is a power capable of bringing any mortal opponent to their knees. However, in a real fight to the death, the Gorosei are stronger than Luffy because of their magical nature. At this stage, Luffy does not have the means to completely destroy the Gorosei. While Luffy runs out of breath after a few minutes, the elders can continue fighting indefinitely. The victory at Egghead was only a tactical retreat. Luffy did not defeat the elders on his own, he was only able to escape thanks to Joy Boy's haki, which temporarily neutralized their abilities. Luffy has higher peak attack potential, but the Gorosei have absolute defense in the form of regeneration and immortality, supported by Imu. Without access to haki of the sentry level or a specific trick to suppress their regeneration, Luffy cannot be considered stronger than the Gorosei in a direct confrontation until complete victory. The incident at Egghead showed that Luffy has reached a level where he can fight the gods on equal terms, but he does not yet have the power to overthrow them completely. The future confrontation in Elbath and beyond will require Luffy to either perfect Gear 5 to increase its time limit, or deeply master Conqueror's Haki, which is capable of affecting the very essence of the Elder's demonic powers. Until then, the five Elders remain a collectively more powerful force capable of controlling the world, despite the presence of anomalies such as Nika.